want to invite the other class in now, Miss Snyder?
Try here and see if your eyes open. All you gotta do if you can't see is raise your hand and we will make sure you'll find a place. Sienna, if you moved up and looked that way, I think you could be in the very front row. Thank you. Now, my room, you should stop the talking. Ma'am? I only want the sounds coming from up there. Mark, would you like to introduce your father?
Or Tom. This is my father, Stephen Enrico, Thomas Desmond. He used to be in a band. He traveled to lots of places. Sometimes he plays for where his mother lives, and sometimes he used to play in Lake George.
I don't know where Lake George is. That's in New York.
Somewhere in New York.
Thomas, is that your dad too?
Does everybody know Thomas?
Thomas, you want to
Thomas,
go?
stand up. Yeah. Thomas, stand up. Tell us. Maybe you can tell us
You
something
can tell.
about your dad.
You can tell me. You can tell them what I'm going to do.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Mark.
it's gonna show you how the computer can pick up sounds from the keyboards.
I'm also going to talk a little bit about sound, about some names, what kinds of different things make sounds and that kind of stuff. Okay? We'll have a lot of fun. Okay. Thank you.
Very good.
Very good. I don't need an introduction. I have
Mark?
had a couple of people introduce me.
Get some other people to
You can sit down. I'd like to thank you for inviting me. And I was going to welcome you, but it's not.
We'll
what
welcome
I
your
say.
equipment and welcome to our room.
My name's Steve. You can call me Steve if you want to, and I'll respond. As Tom and Mark told you, Mark told you, I used to play in a band. I used to use some of this equipment in a band, and I used to make music. Right now, I work as an electrical engineer, and I work with computers. And you see a computer over there. It looks a lot like the one that you've got on the desk back there. What kind of computer is that? Apple computer, that's right. And you want to make sure it's an Apple computer.
It's an Apple II.
Okay, well this is an Apple IIe. Very similar computers. They're pretty much the same. How many of you have ever played around or used a computer? Wow.
Everybody.
Everybody?
Not you.
Not you?
No.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. They look sort of like typewriters. How many of you have ever played a musical instrument? What kinds of musical instruments do you play? What kind of musical instrument do you play? A guitar. Very good. What do you play?
Piano.
And Tom?
Keyboard sometimes.
Keyboard sometimes. How about you?
I play a tambourine.
Tambourine. Very interesting. What do you play? Keyboard. What do you play?
When I was with my grandpa, I went to banjo with him and played the miniature banjo.
Very good. How about the purple girl?
I played drums.
Drums. Very good. Excellent. Look what I got here.
I play the keyboard and the piano.
What are these?
Drumsticks.
Drumsticks. Very good. Does anybody know what these are? What they're called? They look like paintbrushes, don't they? They have bristles like paintbrushes, but they're used for a different purpose. You know what they're used for? Drums. You rub them on drums, and I got a little thing here that I can pretend is a drum, and we could do this. sound than this one, doesn't it? Very different. This is a softer sound. Sometimes drummers use those when they play very soft music, so that they don't get too loud. Like lullaby. Okay. Well, we've got a lot of people that have played musical instruments. That's very good. I want to ask a question. Does anybody know what sound is? We talked about a lot of things that make sound, but does anybody know what sound is and how it's made? How about you?
Well, it's like, I know it, but I can't like explain it.
Okay. Do you know what makes sound? How sound is made?
Like you can break now we have more technique. So we can break the barrier sound.
Break the barrier sound. Yeah. Airplanes go very fast. They can break the sound barrier. Huh? Does anybody know what moves? Okay. How about you?
Well, if you beat a drum, it's a different sound than because airplanes go real fast. When you hit a drum, you hit it hard. Airplanes are faster when you're outside. Drums are a little bit lower than airplanes. And when you hit the drum, it's like beat, like if you beat your like the doctor hits your kneecap. See if it comes up. That's like a something bouncing back.
Remember when the rubber band, when we stretched rubber band to make sound? Think about what we talked about what made sound when we stretched rubber band. What's moving?
Does anybody know what moves? Sound waves. Very good. What are sound waves? Do you know what sound waves are? And what moves? Can you see anything that moves? Can you see anything that moves when the rubber band moves? And you can see the finger moving. All right, let's do that. Let's just do this. I've got a rubber band stretched on this, and I'm going to pull the rubber band. Did anybody hear it? Listen very carefully. Mark told me I should put it in front of the microphone. Okay. See if this makes any difference. Can you hear it? Doesn't sound too good, does it? But yeah, let me put this right here. Can you hear that one? That's a little better, huh? Okay. What's moving? The rubber band's moving. Okay. Now, if the rubber band moves, how do we hear it? What's it pushing? What was that? Wind. Okay, what is wind? Do you know what wind is? Air. Very good. That's the answer I was looking for. When we, yeah, I know. Okay, in the room and everywhere on this earth, there's air. We can't see it, but it's all around us, isn't it? We breathe it, and we know it's there because when we blow up a balloon, the balloon gets bigger, doesn't it? And what's inside a balloon? Air.
Or helium.
Or helium if you put it into a helium container. Or
Gas.
oxygen. Gas. Very good. And those things that are inside of air is made up of little tiny particles, which we can't see. They're called molecules. Does everybody ever hear of a molecule? No. Some of you have. Well, molecules are very small, and some of the things that are the air is invisible. You can't see the molecules that make up the air, but the air moves when the rubber band moves, and it's sort of like this little thing that I've got here. I've got this little tube, and I've got some balls in here. Let's pretend that these are air molecules. Okay? We can see these, huh? And they're pretty big. So we can handle them. Let's pretend that this is a place where the air would go, like in a balloon or in the room where the sound would go. And let's put some air molecules inside, all right? Now, let's pretend that I'm talking and my mouth is moving some air here, okay? And I'm going to push on the air molecules that are inside. And what's going to happen on the other side?
They're gonna come out the other
That's
side.
right, so let's push on it. Here it comes. See it? Now, what happens is the air is actually going to be moving back and forth like this. And on this side is where the sound is coming from, and on this side is where the sound is going. And it usually goes into something that hears. What hears?
Your ear.
On our body? Our ear. Okay, very good. All right, so this moves back and forth, and our ear picks it up and hears it. Does anybody know what vibrates inside of the ear? Yeah, eardrum. Let's take a look at what an eardrum is. It looks sort of like a drum. Let's look at Mr. Ear. Okay? Mr. Ear. That's a model of an ear, see? Pretty big ear. Okay? And inside, fall apart, inside, you know how the ear has a little tube? Okay, it's sort of cut in half here, and inside the air molecules would go like this. See if we can get them all. Whoops. Holly, could you pick up that one? Okay. Here's the air molecules moving back and forth. And there's more air molecules inside here, so that when it gets to the eardrum, here's the eardrum. Take it apart. It's got a sort of a skin around it, sort of like a drum skin. How many of you play drums again? Some of you play drums? What happens when you beat on a drum? It makes a sound, doesn't it? It vibrates? Yeah. And inside the ear, when that eardrum vibrates because the air is pushing on it, there's something inside that's sort of like an electric wire that goes up to your brain, and it tells your brain that you're hearing something. So that's how that works. When the eardrum vibrates because air is pushing on it, something inside your brain is told that you've heard something. And that's how you can hear. Now, we all said that air moves to make sound, right? Right? Okay, you have to have air in order to have sound made, right? Because the air is what moves back and forth and what pushes on your eardrum. So, does anybody know if there's air up in space? Is there,
No.
no, there's no air up in
That's
space.
why people who have been on the moon, they can like talk to each other, like you call it through like walkie-talkie.
That's right.
Or they can talk without any machinery, only in like by putting their
The mask on with air inside of it.
the
That's
head
right.
bubbles.
That's
Or
right.
like whatever they use to travel back and forth or
In the spaceship.